when you're moving from place to place.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television. I am Adanna Combie, and thank you so much for staying with us. We begin conversations this morning in studio, and we speak with Mr. Roy Corbin, and he's the director of Corbin Local Wildlife, and Raquel Wheeler, coordinator of the Community Science Training in Biodata. And we're speaking about biodiversity day and night. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Thank you for having us.
Of course, it's a pleasure to have you here and to have this conversation this morning. You know, before we came on air, we were talking about, biodiversity and the relationship with the creatures that we have in the space, right? And of course, talking about removing stigmas and stuff like that. But we want to talk about the importance of having a relationship or having the knowledge of how these things operate. First and foremost, what is biodiversity for those of us who are trying to figure out what do we mean when we hear the term biodiversity?
Biodiversity really means the amount of living creatures in a particular area, the diversity of them, from plants, insects, birds. The number of them that are found expresses the biodiversity of the area. And as you know, Tobago is rich in this area.
That is absolutely correct. And we're talking about biodiversity with night walk, right? And I know that there are some creatures that are more visible, or they come out in the night. That's their time,
yes.
Of being awake and alert and, doing their daily stuff, And so we're talking about a night walk, and it says to discover the creatures of the night.
Yes,
so let's talk about some of these night creatures and, their way of life.
So we had a night walk July 8th, and it was the first one that we had at Corbin's, and we were very excited. And the amount of creatures that were found, snakes, of course, frogs, and we were lucky to have the herpetologist with us from UE, Renoir August, and he was able to identify the frogs by their sounds. Lots of spiders come out at night. There are some birds that come out at night. Lots of moths as well. There's so many that you don't realize that are there during the day. And when you walk the same path at night, suddenly they are there. And so it was really an experience, and we had to repeat this again this coming weekend. And this time we're going to have bat experts coming to trap the bats to identify the species, as well as we're going to have a moth station to attract even more moths, and a walk to see all the reptiles and amphibians along the way as well. And they come out at night. They have their important role to play then as well. They feed at night on other things as well. So it's an exciting time.
Something that you said that was really, really interesting there is that you were able to identify the species of frogs by their sound.
Yeah.
And to me, the untrained ear, a frog is a frog.
Yeah.
They all sound the same. So this is very interesting, to get the information, to know that there's a difference even in the same type of animal, that there are different, species, you could call them
Yes,
that, within the species, if you can call it that. And it's very interesting to know that while we are asleep, there are creatures that are, alert, awake, as you said, feeding and doing what they are meant to be doing while they are placed here on this earth. And the walkthrough is very interesting. You're talking about snakes here, right? And there is a stigma and a fear of snakes, bats, mice.
Yes.
I kind of want to have a hands-off approach. So having the conversation will give me an appreciation for the importance of having an okay relationship with them, and knowing that they're not here to take up my space because I have my space and they have theirs.
Or to do anything, they are harmless. Luckily, Tobago has no venomous snakes whatsoever. And so it's a way of respecting their place in our ecosystem, their place in our world, so that we don't think that we need to dominate them. But you do your thing, we do our thing. Let them be.
But how do you remove that type, especially in the Tobago space? How do you remove that type of stigma? Mr. Corbin, you have hosted a lot of tours on in your area there, and how do people interact with the animals that are there? How do they respond to them? Are they a little bit squeamish? Is it they welcome the opportunity? How do you manage persons and the stigmas that you might tend to have where that is concerned?
Okay, so again, people come to us with loads of phobias. So we try to keep them a bit calm and try to work along with them in those areas. Now, there are some folks that are afraid of worms that are not afraid of snakes. So again, there are folks that are afraid of spiders and not afraid of a lot of the other animals and them. So what we do at Corbin is we try to work with you, your phobia, and try to get you accustomed to these animals. Because again, we need to learn that each individual animal plays an important role in the environment. Without these animals, we would cease to exist. So we try to, instill in the kids. Okay, I prefer to work with the kids.
They're more adventurous, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
And not only that, again, I'm looking at the next generation because we messed up. So again, if we could instill in the kids the importance of these animals, these plants, these trees, I think the next generation or great grandchildren would be able to experience how beautiful Tobago is supposed to be.
You know what I want to find out? What are some of the roles of these creatures? Because you said, and I know it to be true that without them we will cease to exist. For instance, bees. I know if they say all the bees die, who's
going to pollinate?
That's right.
Yeah.
So what are some of the roles and functions of these creatures that come out, especially at night? I'm interested in the night creatures, but in general, what are some of the roles that they play in preserving the space that we all live in?
Okay, well, let me start here. Snakes, for instance, we have nocturnal snakes, so they come out at night and they do their thing, they hunt. We have rodents. In order to keep that balance, we need predators. So snakes are, I would say, our apex predators right now on the island where rodents are concerned. So mice, rats, agoutis, they're all labeled as rodents. And these guys, that's their desired diet. Okay, so if we don't have these guys, what's going to happen?
We're going to have a lot of rodents walking our streets.
And what's going to happen when we have a lot of rodents?
Diseases, yes.
Right, and after diseases, what happened?
Of course, end of the termination of life. Yes.
You see the cycle there.
Yeah.
Wow. So, and I could go on. You want to add any to that, Raquel? Any of the creatures that you might love?
One of the bats, you were interested in the bats. When the bats come out at night, they consume mosquitoes. They consume a vast number of mosquitoes. As well as they go, from tree to tree, their droppings disperse seeds. Bats are incredibly important for so many reasons as well as, and they feed the snakes as well. Snakes love bats, but they eat lots of mosquitoes and disperse seeds. These are main important things about bats as well. So
I do not like bats at all, but now you've caused me to rethink my position where bats are concerned because I hate mosquitoes equally.
There you go, right?
So they're serving their purpose there. And I think it's very important that people get this education, they get the information so that the relationship with the creatures would change. Because if I see a bat, I'm running and screaming because I don't want to be bitten by a bat, for instance. And what is the likelihood of a bat biting somebody? We watch a lot of movies, we watch a lot of films, and so of course we get confused. But what is the likelihood of that happening even in our local space?
It's very rare. You might get bitten if you grab hold of a bat and you didn't hold it in the right place. Yes, it's going to bite you. That's their defense mechanism. All wild animals, they're going to bite to get away from whatever.
Being captured.
Yeah.
But it's important to note that they're not coming for you.
Yeah.
Snakes aren't coming for you. Bats not coming for you. Spiders. They actually are afraid of us as we are of them. And it's only when we interfere in their world that their defense mechanisms come out and they would bite. They would try to get away from us. So the fear of snakes in particular is big in Tobago. And so it's important, Mr. Corbin's work going around to schools and communities with the snakes so that people can see them and touch them, realize they're not slimy, and understand their behavior is defensive because they don't have any other way. And so when we understand what they do, where they live, how they live, we can coexist really quite easily. If you see one in your garden, no need to kill it. It will go away because it's as afraid of us as we are of them.
So I want to add to her, since we're on animals and their important role in environment, one of our local dishes, bushmeat, tattoo. So you must have had it sometime in your life.
I've heard of it.
Now, again, that's one of my favorite animals because of the wonderful job that animal would do in the forest at night. Again, it's a nocturnal animal. And what do they eat? These guys eat worms, termites, ants, scorpions, centipedes, and even baby snakes. So you see how much work that animal is doing just to keep that balance. And what are we doing? We're eating them every day. So what's going to happen when the numbers go down? So you see how important these guys are.
Yeah.
And I could go on all morning. I don't think we have the time, but I want to just add the possums. Manikou, we call them locally. Again, that's another very important animal that really cleans up our forests at night. So these guys eat almost anything that they can get them outside. And what are we doing again? We're eating them.
We're trying to get our mouths on it as well, you know. And it's unfortunate that we try to eat them, but
are we trying or are we eating
well,
them?
not we, but they are being eaten rather, you know. And they have so much work to do and so much importance and significance in our spaces. And I really hope that people come out to the night walk and also to the day as well. Tell us a little bit about the event that is taking place on Saturday 21st. The night walk.
Well, as it says, the night walk, we're going to have 3 major events happening. Moths, where we have a huge light, something like what you have here, and a sheet where they're all attracted to. And we're going to have walks through the trails with Mr. Corbin and some other guides to find whatever creatures come out, as well as we have bat trapping to identify species and show people a little, bats up and close. The night walk registration is required, and the link is there on the flyer. And
we are trying to get us approximately 75.
Well, we're at 65 now. We've only got about 10 spaces.
Ooh.
Please register before you lose your space.
Before you lose a
That's
spot.
right. That's right. And it's very, I think it's something that could be ongoing. The night walk.
I think we are planning to continue, because a lot of people have shown an interest in coming out at night. Now, our main focus used to be just the normal daytime tours. And because of the amount of interest now in the night walks, we want to add it to our tours.
Okay, that's totally welcomed there. And then we're talking about Biodiversity Day, which is on the 22nd of September, which is a Sunday. So talk us through that event as well.
So this is the end of a project that was started in April called the BioReach project. And what happened was the community was trained in collecting biodiversity data. Mason Hall Secondary School were the first, the Form 4 and Form 5 students were trained in how to find and record the data of the biodiversity of the area. They went to Corbin's to do the same. And then members of the community were also trained. They would look for the species, take photographs of the species, and then upload them on an app called iNaturalist, where there's a project and we monitor the species that have been found, and the scientists, not just from Trinidad and Tobago, but from all over the world, go on to the project, identify the species, and then they use that data as well in their global research projects. So on Sunday, we're having a celebration of everything everybody's learned, a full day, 9 to 4, of walks from the scientists from UE. We have scientists coming up to do various species-specific walks, whether it's insects and birds. We are going to have some games for the kids, a few competitions about who takes the best photo, who can find the most species. It should be a really, really lovely day as well, and lots of information and the experts on hand to ask questions, So it's going to be a good day.
I think there's a prize for the kid that would get the most species.
Yes, there are some prizes definitely for the community. The students of Mason Hall Secondary, they're going to be honored in the morning for their contribution. The students that made the most observations with the most species. And the same thing will happen on Sunday, where we'll give people the opportunity in the time that they come to take as many photographs as they can. And the child and the adult who have the most number of species will win a nice small prize, for that.
Absolutely amazing stuff there. And this is happening this weekend. The night walk is Saturday 21st from 7:30 p.m. To 9:30 p.m. there at the Corbin Wildlife Park. And I want to encourage the 10 of you who are interested to register, because as soon as possible. Do it today because you don't want to miss out on, something that is as amazing as this. And as you said, Mr. Corbin, we're going to be doing this, another time. So you listen out for that as well. And then on Sunday, we wrap up with the Biodiversity Day celebration,
Yes,
as
that's
it
right.
were.
And if I can add, there's no registration required. Admission is free. You can come, many of you can come as you like and come and enjoy the day on Sunday.
Absolutely amazing stuff.
Yeah. So if you have to just come in for an hour, come in for your hour and go back home and do your Sunday meal after.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's right. In closing, is there anything else you want to share with our viewers this morning?
Well, I would love to encourage the whole of Tobago to come and, enjoy the day with us Sunday and learn as much as possible as you can, because we need it. We need to know what's happening in our space so we can help to protect it all.
Absolutely.
So please come, guys. Come see us on Sunday.
Absolutely amazing. And if you've never been to the Corbin Wildlife Park, you need to get there at some point in time to have that experience as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been speaking with Mr. Roy Corbin, Director of Corbin Local Wildlife, and Raquel Wheeler, Coordinator of the Community Science Training in Biodata, as we speak about biodiversity and 2 events taking place here on the island of Tobago, Saturday night and again on a Sunday. And we do hope to see lots of you there to participate and to learn about wildlife. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to go for a short break before we continue conversations in studio. And as we go for a break, we invite you to help us share the live. We'll be right back.